This is Talk is Sheep, the official podcast of the Wild Sheep Society of BC, brought to you by Sitka Gear. Come along as we bring conversations that matter to you into the high alpine. This episode is sponsored by our conservation partner, Yeti. Thank you Sitka Gear and Yeti for investing in healthy wildlife and sustainable ecosystems.
What hunting means for what hunting has meant for the wildlife in South Africa in the last 30-40 years. How it contributed,
How did it contribute?
Everything based on facts,
Yeah.
So
Science-based wildlife management?
Yeah, 100% that. Yeah. So 30-40 years ago, all these farms and stuff was all cattle farms, and it was all owned by very poor farmers, very very poor farmers that had to. You can think to make a living out of these rocks and these areas and stuff. They have small pieces of agricultural field that they can actually work. They were battling, so they were all battling farmers. And since the 70s, they started to, a lot of places got bought back and given back to wildlife and stuff. But the base of that was the value of the animals. The value of the animals and the hunting gave the value of the animals. None of those farmers, you can't replace your cows with an animal that can't bring an income to you. So, and today there's, animals are flourishing everywhere. You drive out of town, you see, we saw lion now, we saw elephant, leopard, everything around us. So everything is coming back.
So you're a pretty young guy. Do you remember days where the wildlife wasn't as abundant as it is today? Like, you've been on the landscape now for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
But do you remember it always being good, or do you remember those days where it wasn't as good as it is now?
No, that's the nice thing that I can talk about, because I can really say that I was part of that change, and I can remember the days that there was nothing, and especially certain farms. One of my head farms, Kisingiti, we call it the pecan farm. That farm was when I was a kid, it was owned by a guy that we know very well. He was good friends with my dad. My dad hunted leopard there because of the leopard was interfering with his cattle, and there was nothing there. Now there's, I want to say, 200-300 sables on that property. There's 200-300 eland, hartebeest, gemsbok, wildebeest, 400-500 wildebeest, and even some stuff that you even don't see is coming back, like the honey badger, the civet cat, the genet cat, the small mongoose, and all of those things, vultures. Everything is coming back. Yeah.
The one thing I noticed a lot of is that there's very good coexistence from what I see when I visit. So I see farmers out on the landscape. They're ranching with their cattle, or maybe they have crops. And then there's the wild animals too. And there's a mesh there, and they work, and you guys work hand in hand.
Yeah.
Like, there's been a few times where, like, hey, I need this managed. I need you to take these ostriches, for example.
Yeah.
You guys were, or just a few different scenarios where we're out and about, and it's like, oh, the buffalo. Right?
Yeah. Please come and help.
Yeah.
Please come and help. We get that often. People in the Waterberg Mountains, people know us. They know that we are fairly avid hunters and stuff, and most of the time we have some hunters in camp. So whenever there's a problem thing, and that's actually how I grew up, as my dad being a leopard hunter. Farmers will call him from all over the place and say, "Come and help! The leopard is killing my cows," and that's how we did. So yeah, we work very close with the farmers, even the agricultural farmers. Everybody work close. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting with Chris's buffalo that we went in there, we met the landowner, Alan, had a really good conversation with him, and from what I understand, he's not maybe an anti-hunter, but he's not certainly advocating for hunting or pro-hunting. Almost on the verge of a greenie, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Really nice guy, but I'd seen how professional Jacques was when he came in there, and Chris and Jacques went in and got the job done, stalked in and killed that bull, and like Alan, he was so grateful. He was pretty stressed out about it. You could tell that this bull was in with his cows and stuff, and he was not happy with the situation. And then afterwards, he was. It almost built a bridge between the hunter and the non-hunter. It felt like it was pretty cool.
Definitely that. That was now a little bit of a not a normal circumstance. We don't get that a lot.
Right.
Most of our buffalo hunting is on big ranches and big. But for me, one thing that we do, and I don't always think that green people do the same towards us, but like there we go in there and we handle it with respect.
Mm-hmm.
We handle him with respect. We were there a couple of days later. We saw that old buffalo cow, and we handled it with respect. And that's one thing. A lot of people out there think that hunters, go up in the mountain, you shoot a kudu, you cut off the head, and you leave the whole thing there. That's not how we do it.
No.
We handle the animals with respect. We handle the landowners with respect, and the land itself. We don't. We take care of it. Yeah. I can. There's a lot of properties, and Alan's property is one of them. That is actually, and hopefully he doesn't hear this podcast, but he probably won't. But his property is actually a little bit broken.
Right.
It's actually a little bit broken in the sense that they don't generate the money because they don't hunt right and handle it right. They actually don't generate the money to take care of the property. It's a lot of the time it's a waste. If a kudu bull dies up in the mountain, it's $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 that rots away. If you don't need the money, put the money back into conservation, put it back into feed the poor or donate it to somebody that needs it. But for it to rot away up in the mountain, that I don't think that is the right attitude.
I think that's one thing I noticed too is, and you just touched on it, both of you did, is that link between the hunting community and the farmers, or I call them concessions.
Yeah, concessions. Yeah.
That relationship, but building that relationship, like Cal just said, with Alan and the guy that had the bull that got into those cows, they were both really happy that the way the situation had ended.
Yeah.
But that was impacting both of those guys.
Yeah.
Right. So and obviously they phoned you, and like I said, the air of professionalism and the respect.
Yeah.
The buffalo hunt probably was not a full-on buffalo hunt, but when all those cows were there, it was like we were trying to get in and get on them, and it felt like a hunt.
Yeah.
And just when all the cows came around the bull at the end, it's something that I've never heard anybody talk about it before, but that experience was really cool. So
and normally with buffalo, when they smell blood, they come back. They don't really necessarily run away.
Huh. Interesting.
And that's on any buffalo hunt. It's like that. I've had buffalo hunts where we wound a buffalo, we put the dogs on the track, and that bull would have, he was hurt, so he broke away from the other bulls. I think the one time I can talk about now was there were 5 bulls, and as soon as the dogs started to fight the buffalo, the other 4 bulls came to help that buffalo to fight the dogs.
Wow.
So they can team up. They can team up 100%.
Yeah. And I've seen that bridge, like you just touched on the pecan farm and stuff, and we touched on earlier in the podcast about the relationship between the hunting community and the landowners, and just what you touched on with the amount of animals. It's really cool to see that model and how it works in South Africa, and how positive it is for the animals and everybody's experience, whether you're taking pictures or you are hunting. It's
I can give you the statistic on that. Is this actually became an industry in South Africa in the 70s. There was a lot of hunting being done before that, but before that, professional hunting and outfitting and all the documentation and getting it as an industry, it started in the 70s. And in the 70s, they reckoned in South Africa there was about 600 to 650,000 animals, wild animals, in private ownership. Today, the number is far over 20 million.
Wow.
Far over 20 million.
Wow.
And that's all because
30 times.
Yeah. And at the same time, they stopped hunting, and I think in 1974 they stopped hunting in Kenya. By the way, they're actually thinking of reopening it now after 50 years. They want to open it now again because they've seen the mistake they made. But at the same time, they stopped hunting in Kenya. Animal population in Kenya went down 80% from then until today. In Namibia, they've all never stopped hunting. They always promoted it and stuff. And Namibia, from the 70s until now, the animal population is up 400%.
Wow.
So so that speaks for itself.
Yeah.
That speaks for itself. A lot of people think if they stop the legal hunting, never in the history of the human race, an animal got extinct while it was legal to hunt it.
Right.
As soon as you put a value on something, the human race tend to find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
The best selling scheme of all time was diamonds is forever. If you love your wife, you must buy her a diamond.
Right.
It's a shiny piece of stone, and now it's a commodity that kind of rules the world.
Yeah.
That's marketing, and they put a value on it. Nobody's going to dig out a diamond just because it's shining.
Yeah.
It's because of the value. And the same with beef cattle. Nobody is going to farm beef cattle if you can't milk it and can't slaughter it. That's just the way the human race work. Are we right? Probably not, but that's the way we are.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Wow, those are the stats I've been looking for.
Yeah.
That just paid for my trip to Africa right there.
No, 100%. That's
amazing.
And we love it. That's the people that have the opinion about these things. They sit on the 108th floor in the New York condo, and they want to say no, don't do that. But we that live it and walk the ground here and know, and then on top of that comes where the meat goes.
Mm-hmm.
How many people we feed with this meat? If we should like the buffalo you shot is 2,500 meals the way they eat.
Wow.
2,500 meals.
Awesome.
So yeah, and nothing gets wasted. And Africa is a hungry place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Talk a little bit about the ban that they've got on leopards. Talk about why that came in and what the impact is, and then you guys, I know you're fighting to get that back now and get permits for it. Talk a little bit about why they, because my understanding, Bosveld, that's your father's name, right?
Yeah,
So he started the company, and his bread and butter was cat hunting, from what I understand, specifically leopards.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that for us.
Yeah, leopard hunting is what raised me. That's what we did from a young age and stuff. And then in the 2000s, it started to get a little bit more difficult to get tags, and slowly it went all the way until 2015, where they completely stopped the legal hunt of leopard. It doesn't mean if you take the legal hunting away, the animal is not going to get killed. I know farmers that have killed lots and lots of leopard because they don't have the value anymore. If we can go to a farmer and say, don't kill that cat, we're going to come in a couple of months, and you're going to get $10,000 for that cat. That we're going to bring in a hunter at a certain time. Then they don't kill those cats. And the problem also, when they get frustrated, the method of killing those problem cats becomes a big problem. So the Greenpeace, or whatever you want to call it, the bunny huggers, the tree huggers, they think if they stop the legal hunting, they're going to stop the killing. But the problem is, once they start to get into the serious killing, they use poison, they use snares, they use dogs, and then you start to kill the vulture, and you start to kill the genet cat and the civet cat and everything like that. The reason for that is, and that's the same reason for why they stopped the culling of elephant in the Kruger National Park. So the greenies has got a lot of money. They've got lots and lots of money, and it's actually obvious if you take a common group of people that doesn't know much about hunting, it's a lot easier to lean towards the non-hunting side. It's a lot easier if you don't have information.
Mm-hmm.
But give 20 minutes of information. They might not be hunters, but they will understand it a lot better. So the greenies get money a lot easier from emotional people. That we all know. So what they did in Kruger Park, and I think that's what they did with the leopards as well. In 1994, when the change of government came in South Africa, South Africa is a corrupt place. That we all know. That's why the whole of Africa is what it is. It speaks for itself. The greenies came, and I actually heard this. I always knew there was some money involved, but I didn't know. But they give the ANC, the leading party, $5 million a year not to kill elephants in the Kruger National Park.
Wow!
So that $5 million doesn't have effect on any citizen's life in South Africa, because that $5 million is going to their pockets,
right?
And they know it. And we don't have an amount on the leopard. On the leopard at the moment, but I think it's going to be the same. So they come in with big money. They come into a corrupt area. They throw the money on the table, and then the guys can't resist to take it. That's how I see it. That's my personal opinion.
But it doesn't even go back. So if it went back into conservation, it'd be a different story, right?
It will not reach that.
Exactly, right? So
it won't reach the conservation. It won't reach the hungry people. It won't reach anybody like that.
But honestly, what does $5 million a year do for conservation when you have a whole industry, when you've got farmers and ranchers and PHs and outfitters that are contributing? It's probably well beyond $5 million. The benefit $5 million could do for elephants, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then in the past, when they culled those elephants, there was a tin meat factory right next to the Kruger National Park where they actually tinned all that meat, and that meat went to all the hungry places, Somalia and everywhere. It was feeding people, and obviously that's gone. That's gone. So. I think I told you the other statistic also the other day. Around the Kruger Park, there's some areas, I'm not sure if it's private owned or it's big companies or how it's owned, but it's private areas. that's not part of the park. It's called the Klaseri and the Bulule and the Timbavati, those areas. And there will just be a river between that and the Kruger Park. Now in those areas they do a little bit of hunting. But there's a lot of photo safaris and normal tourism as well. And they did a study, and I can actually share it with you. I did the study. I've got it on my phone. I'll just forward it to you. They did a study in I think this was 2018. And they compared the income from hunters and the income from the tourists. And the bottom line of the study, actually, what it played out to is that 46 hunters equalize 24,000 normal tourists.
Oh my goodness.
The income.
Wow.
So think of the carbon footprint, 24,000 against 46. Think of all the sewage. Think of the fuel that gets burned, the jet fuel, the tires that everything that's the poison of this earth, feeding them, So at the end of the day, if they stay away and we double the hunt, it will actually go better. Which I welcome them here. I don't say they have to stay away, but it's the people that hate hunting is actually their own worst enemy.
Right.
If it comes to environment and saving the environment. Yeah.
Well, that's where I wonder. I don't really want to spend a bunch of time on this. I want to hear all your stories, but is the anti-hunting movement knows this. They know that not hunting is not benefiting the species. I think it's an industry. I think it's about the money. I think that's what it comes down to. In my opinion.
100% that. 100% that. So the there's the extremists on that side. So there's extremists on both sides.
Right.
And the extremists are both sides are not right. The extremists don't care about it. That for them it's all about the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that counts for both sides. Yeah.
For sure.
They know the reality, they know the truth, they know the facts, they don't want to hear it. And they don't want to educate people about it, because if they educate them, they're losing support. Yeah. So
what's happening in Kruger then if they're not culling these elephants? Obviously there was a surplus, so they need to get rid of them. So what's happening now that they're not doing that? Are they just is it overly abundant, and what's going on? 100%.
So they lie a lot also about it. They at one stage say so Kruger is supposed to have 7,000 to 7,500 elephants in it. At one stage they said there were 16,000, and then they came up slowly up to 24,000. There's actually 42,000 elephants in Kruger Park.
Wow.
And there's a lot of places like that. Botswana is also overpopulated. There's a lot of places overpopulated with elephant. And it's a natural suicide. That's at one stage the diseases break out like tuberculosis and all those kind of stuff breaks out, and it will kill a lot of the other species.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the biggest threat to wildlife, is loss of habitat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. That's everywhere in the world. And what the elephants are doing is loss of habitat. That's what's happening.
Jock mentioned that I think it takes 4,000 acres to feed one elephant.
One elephant, yeah.
So if you've got 40,000, how big's Kruger?
I think Kruger is 2 million hectares. 2 million hectares, yeah.
Good luck with that math, buddy.
Yeah. So, and then the one thing like in Kruger is there's a bird called the large ground hornbill. It's a big hornbill family bird that make their nest in certain trees, and they are busy dying out in that area because of
trees.
Of no trees, So and in Kruger, in places where these things are overpopulated, I can take you there and you can see the difference. If you're there this year, I'll take you next year. You can already see the difference. Wow. It's not even that slow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just think, where is it 10 years from now? Where does it go? It's scary.
Yeah. And they were warned. They were warned, and now and then they said they're gonna try to fix the females so they can't breed. How do you do it with 42,000 elephants?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's not even rational. That's the thing, is they come up with these crazy policies and ideas, and it doesn't make sense.
The big fact is the day that the human step into an area, we complicate stuff.
Yeah.
That is 100% like that, and that's the truth. But then we have to manage.
Yes.
Then we have to take the management over, and I think you guys with the sheep and stuff, you guys fight exactly the same battle.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah. What do you see as the major issues for Africa? So we talked about, or South Africa specifically, touched on elephants, we touched on the cats. What are some of the bigger issues that you think need to be fixed? There's a great model here, we're so impressed with so much of it, but what are the stuff that's bugging you? Is it rhinos? Is it other stuff? What are some of the things that we need to fix in Africa?
Yeah, the problem, the big thing that needs to get fixed is that will not happen is corruption.
Right.
People, the corruption over overrules everything. And South Africa, and especially South Africa, if you see the way South Africa operates with the corrupt government we have, you must know how special this place can actually be.
Yeah.
You know, we're not run to a 30% potential, and it's still freaking cool to live here. You know, so imagine if we were run to a 50 or a 60% potential, what it would have been. So corruption is a big thing, and with that comes like the rhino issue. You know, the rhinos are under pressure with the poaching. The big reason is the price on the heads. You know, the price of rhino horn is more valuable than gold. It's one of the most expensive commodities on earth. And if you put a piece of gold bar on any animal in a poor place like Africa, people is going to chase it. You know, and you can almost not blame them. You know, they're poor, they're hungry, they're desperate. You know, until you haven't been hungry and poor like that, you can't really judge that person that actually kills it. You know, but the cruelty, the cruel part around it is the people that create the market.
Right.
And that is, it's almost not fixable because there's people in smuggling this rhino. There's people involved all the way to the government that's getting their cut in these things. You know, because there's so much rhino horn that's already that they have that got confiscated. That's in big vaults and stuff. That the the right thing would be to open the trade of rhino horn and flush the market with what they have.
Right.
The price will drop. Use that money to fight rhino poaching, and give the farmer the initiative to farm rhinos, because the rhino horn can be harvested.
Right.
So give the farmers the reason to farm rhinos, to harvest the rhino horn, and that way the existence will be guaranteed forever.
Right.
But too much emotion around that and too much corruption around that keeps it out. You know. Yeah.
These anti-poaching units, are they government driven? Are they government, or are they privately financed? How does that work?
And in certain areas like the Kruger Park and stuff, it's government driven.
Okay.
But there's a lot of rhino in private ownership, and that is all private financed.
Right.
Yeah.
So why would somebody have a rhino now? Like if you can't sell the horn outside the country, what's the benefit of having rhinos?
So the legal hunting of rhino is still there. You can still legally shoot a rhino.
Okay.
So that keeps farmers for keeping them. And then obviously some of these areas like my neighbors and Welgevonden and those places, that they want to have the big 5 status on the property, and they literally spend, I want to say, $100,000 a month on security.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy.
So, we have three conservation areas called Marakele, Welgevonden and Shambhala. That borders me at the back here. You know, border me at the back. And they're all together, and then we have Kaingu also, and they're all in one team, kind of protecting the rhinos big time. Yeah.
And what species of rhinos do you have in Africa here, South Africa here?
So black rhino and white rhino, which the white rhino is the more common one.
Okay. And what do the numbers look like? Are they stable? Are they?
I think white rhino 25,000 or something like that. Black rhino, I'm not so sure.
Right.
Like maybe maybe 1,000 or 2,000. I'm not 100% sure on that. But the numbers is stable. They're not still more rhinos getting born that's getting poached.
Right.
So yeah. So if you keep the value there, they will be there.
Right.
That's just the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I've noticed, let's talk a little bit about your business in Bosveld Jacobs Safaris. You've been a generous supporter of the Wild Sheep Society and a bunch of other chapters and organizations. I know you go to SCI and DSC, and you've been very generous. So first of all, thank you for your generosity in supporting conservation. Man. It's like we've worked with African outfitters before, and Nolan introduced you to us, and right away, like everyone that has ever come here, and we've had now dozens of our members that have come over here and done the hunts, and just without 100% success, like in terms of the experience, and everyone just raves about it. So I think it's amazing. You're a young guy, which is really that's exciting to me. I always get nervous when you get an outfitter that's almost towards the end of their career. It's like, who's taking over?
Who's taking over,
You got 20, 30, 40 years ahead of you.
Yeah.
But your dad started the Bosveld Jacobs, Bossie, I guess. And then I see your young daughter here, Laura. She's running around and immersed in this culture. So truly a family-run business. And just your lodge and your facility here is amazing.
No, thank you very much, man. Thank you. No, I grew up in the industry. I was the small kid like Laura is now and running around between all the foreign hunters and stuff when I was that age, so we grew up in it. And I always tell people, it's almost like, if you take a farmer, you can be a very rich guy. You can go buy the prettiest farm out there and with the best farming equipment and the best land and everything. And you can go and try to farm it, but you won't do it successfully because you're not a farmer.
Right.
You can go hire a guy that's a real good farmer to come and work for you, and he'll make it work. But you being a businessman, you're not necessarily going to make a good farmer. And that's the same in the hunting also. We don't only do it because we like it. We do it because it's the only thing we know how to do. So we might as well just do it. But luckily we enjoy it also, and it's a lifestyle for us. For me to get guests here, I don't have to organize a hunt.
Right.
We just live it, and we keep on living it. And I think that's. There is others like that in South Africa, but there's not many that lives it. There's a lot of people that's outfitters that money make them an outfitter. It sounds like a cool lifestyle,
right? And
they go for their PH course and they get the outfitter's permit and they buy a fancy farm and they become an outfitter and you'll have a good time there. The difference is just we live it and we it's our lifestyle. Very fortunate to be in it and. Very thankful for what my dad actually. The one thing my dad, they teach us about the bush. I know about the bush now, as much the same as when I knew when I was 15 years old or 12 years old. So I'm very very thankful for that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like obviously your wife's here. She's been here all week, and then your brother is one of the PHs here as well, and. Well, a lifelong friend in Jock.
Yeah. Yuri grew up under me. I know Yuri since he was 3 years old. So definitely. And then come back to the sheep banquet and stuff where I met you guys and stuff. And I've told you this. I will tell it on the podcast just so people can also hear it. But I've told you this also before that the Wild Sheep Society of British Columbia is definitely one of my favorite events to go to. Very well organized. I go to a lot of banquets and of these things and stuff, and that one, the way it's organized and the energy there, a bunch of young people every year, a bunch of new faces, and you don't actually see that on most of these banquets. You don't see new faces. It's kind of run down where yours is really doing well, I think.
That's cool. Well, we appreciate you being there and supporting it. And it's interesting. The one thing I've noticed with our members that those that support us, they really support. And I know that you've got a group coming over here in a couple of weeks with Chuck, Spike Camp, and Dawn
Feeling.
are coming over, and Gary Flack, and then I know there's Gary Whitaker and a bunch of other guys coming over. I think there's quite a laundry list of people coming. So.
I know that specific area marketing for me there. It's made marketing easy for me.
Right.
But we also have a I've got a policy where I say my most important thing is to send people back home happy. Before I have to make money or anything like that, I want to send people back home happy, and the best word of marketing is the best way of marketing is word of mouth. So
well, you've ticked that box for us, and there's 13 of us from BC here. Round of applause in the background there.
Little golf clap from Dennis.
There's 13 of us in camp here, and everyone's just beaming. And Nolan brought it up. I think he said we've seen the Big Five and the Dangerous Seven collectively between the group of us within the first couple of days of being here, and just the abundance of wildlife and your staff and this new lodge is just absolutely world class. We're just so comfortable here, and the hospitality, it's unbelievable.
Well, I also think the same thing, like all your PHs, you've got some young PHs and some they're not really old, but PHs, but it's like one big family. Like the camaraderie from everybody's amazing, and I think what it does is just as a client, we get brought into that family at the same time. Within 2 hours, we're like, we stop.
That's my mission here. I also built a place to be like you go in behind the bar, you grab your own beer. You know, you must feel welcome and be part of the family. And we often say that to people. You know, when you come to hunt with us, you come here as a client in the beginning. I actually hate to call my people clients. It's hunters and friends, because you will come as a client, and when you leave here, you'll feel like, man, we're friends now.
Yeah,
friends
no,
now,
I feel
100%.
that for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But you just mentioned about you guys saw the seven dangerous 7. 20 years ago, you wouldn't have seen that.
Is that right?
20 years ago, you wouldn't have seen that.
Yeah.
Never.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole world thinks everything is dying away and disappearing, and everything is always negative, and everything is disappearing. And in South Africa, I promise you, the opposite of that is happening, thanks to hunting.
It's interesting. You put a value on something, it's amazing how it
Yeah.
gets taken care of. Right?
100%.
Yeah. As soon as something means something to somebody,
Yeah.
people are going to take care of it.
Yeah. Who would become a doctor if they can't charge people to fix them up?
Yeah.
You know, nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to become a lawyer if you can't sue and get your money back from divorces and stuff like that. That's just the humans' work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, absolutely.
all
For
good,
sure.
man.
Well, I know. So I came over here. I'm like, okay, Riaan and I are going to do this. Maybe we'll do a couple podcasts. We'll get hours.
Yeah.
And you're so busy. You know, and hats off to you and your team. Like you're out there guiding every day. You're doing your PH duties. Then you're coming in here and you're running your business. You're coordinating full-time job. And so just to carve out 30 minutes was difficult. And I appreciate you.
No, thank you.
Anything we need to touch on? I'd love to do this again. So we'll try and do it in the off season.
Yeah.
You know, I'll try and get on this again because there's so many things I want to ask you about. But I know you're busy today.
No, we can keep on talking all day. You know, we can talk all day. The nice thing about when it comes to us talking and educating people is that the nice thing about hunters, we use facts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have the facts. My dad being the leopard hunter he always got invited to a lot of conferences in South Africa, greenie conferences, because they wanted to nail him. I say always. He got invited to like 3 or 4 times. And after a while, they stopped inviting him because people will walk out and say, man, bossy, we never thought of it this way. We never thought of it this way. He was educating because he had the facts.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we need to do here. We preach a lot to the choir. We preach to each other. We keep on saying it, but to get to the middle people that's uninformed, that's the big challenge in this world. Is to get to the uninformed middle class that if you spend 20 minutes with them, you will swing their minds.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
5 minutes in an elevator.
100%, and that's what you need. But to get to those people is not always that easy.
No, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of them don't want to hear that message, and there's certainly a contingent of people that don't want the main group of people to hear that message, right?
Exactly.
The antis, they'll do anything to stop you from
stop you
telling
from
that
that.
story,
Yeah.
for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
One thing I was, and obviously this is for another podcast, but I was reading through your brochure and just the family history
Yeah.
and how far back it goes, and then obviously we haven't even dove into what your dad did and how
Yeah.
you started the business. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you saved that for another podcast, but that is,
Yeah.
I was reading all that history piece and I just found it so fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, from the beginning of South Africa
All the way through.
all the way through, and
Yeah.
then to present day.
And today we can still live it and live. Yeah, my dad always say, you know, he can't. He would love to know what the ancestors would say if they say we are still in hunting. You know, after 5 or 6 generations, we still doing it. So
It goes
Yeah.
back that far, hey?
yeah, my 5 generations back, grandfather was a famous elephant hunter.
Huh.
And he actually showed he's the one that showed David Livingstone the falls and stuff
Wow.
like that all the way back. Yeah.
That's crazy, eh?
Yeah, I
That's-
think I was reading. I guess it's a whole other podcast because
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
so fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I think a lot about is like we come around here and we experience it. It's still wild Africa for sure,
Yeah.
but I think like what was it like in the 30s and 40s when people were coming over here and there were no trails and you're like literally you know you don't know if you're coming face to face with a
You don't know what you're gonna see.
yeah
what
exactly
you're gonna
and
see.
like now
Yeah.
there it's a little bit more it's still crazy out there like you're
Yeah.
walking through the bush and you could you know we're coming home we run into a lion right like that was
Yeah.
phenomenal but
That's one thing I try to do in my business. I try to show people we hunt big properties, and we don't necessarily introduce animals to hunt them.
Right.
A lot of the animals was introduced 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and in South Africa everything is fenced. Even the Kruger National Park is fenced, you know. And if there's not a fence, there's going to be a highway that blocks them or something. You know. But
Yes.
it's but we try to hunt sustainable areas, try to hunt the animals sustainable by shooting mature animals, and try to show our hunters still a old school have lunch in the bush, sleep on a hammock, you know.
Yeah, that's been amazing.
That was epic.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one thing that kind of took me back. Like, and I was bugging Jock.
Well, you're resisting it. You're like, I'm not sleeping in that fucking hammock.
Am I?
By the end of it, he's sleeping in it. He's like,
like,
when are we
"Oh."
going to the hammocks?
But even then, like, I was bugging Jock. We came back because we were hunting close to the main lodge, and we came back and we had lunch. You know, obviously David's a great cook, but I said to Jacques, I said, I really miss our field lunches, and everything's cooked on a fire. It's cooked with wood, right? It's the food is amazing, and like their lunches out in the field when they're cooked on the field, it's like it's just amazing.
Well prepared and well thought through how we're gonna do it and stuff. Yeah, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, well, amazing. Well, I know we're on our way out here, and you got lots to do. You got your next clients coming in, but
let's wrap it up quickly there in the office and get everything done.
Yeah, thank you so much for everything, for your generosity, your hospitality, for the support of our organization and our members, and just been awesome. And I look forward to doing this again soon.
Looking forward to a long-lasting relationship.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Riaan.
Thanks, Riaan.